to my brand new YouTube baking channel. I'm Mrs Price, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a really straightforward jam and coconut sponge cake. Now I have it on good authority that this is one of Mrs Jones's favourite cakes, and so I'm making this in her honour, so I hope you're watching, Mrs Jones. Okay, so first of all we're just going to talk through some of the equipment that you're going to need to make this cake. So first of all, you'll need to find a appropriate size baking tin. Now this one's square and it's about 20 centimetres by 20 centimetres. As you can see, I've lined that with some greaseproof paper. So to do that, you spread some margarine around the tin to grease it, put in your paper and then put a little bit of margarine on the top as well, just to make completely sure that your cake doesn't stick. If you can't get hold of greaseproof or baking paper at the moment, you can, instead of using that, you can grease it as the same way and just sprinkle a little bit of flour and shake it around, and hopefully that will stop your cake from sticking. If you haven't got a tin exactly like that, you can use a similar sized tin of any shape really. So you could use a large sandwich pan, round one if you've got one of those. If you don't have any baking tins at all, you could use like a Pyrex or oven dish such as this or this, and that would work fine. And just try and find one that's a similar kind of size, as close as you can. Okay, put these over there. You will need a mixing bowl, like that, and a sieve. Now if you haven't got a sieve, don't worry, you can make this recipe without it, but it is a really useful investment if you're going to be doing a lot of baking. We've also got our electric whisk, weighing scale to weigh out your ingredients, and finally a spatula like this to help scrape the mixture into the tin later. If you haven't got a spatula like this, you could just use a large metal spoon. Okay, and our ingredients today. First of all, 3 eggs. I've got large ones here, but you can use medium, that's fine. I've got 170 grams of caster sugar. That's really important to use caster sugar and not granulated in this cake, because it absorbs much better into the cake batter and produces a nicer sponge. I've got 170 grams of soft margarine here. You can use any brand, any supermarket brand. If you can't get hold of margarine, you could just use the usual spread that you would put on your bread. And if you want to make this recipe dairy free, just substitute that with any dairy free spread and that will work out just fine. I wouldn't use butter for this recipe, that's the one thing I would say. I'm using an all-in-one method, and butter can be quite difficult to beat into the other ingredients. And then we've got 170 grams of self-raising flour. I'm going to be using some vanilla. Now, just a word on this. So when you go to the supermarket, it can be a little bit confusing because there's all kinds of different vanilla on the shelf. So I've got a vanilla extract here, quite a good quality one. But you could also get what's called vanilla essence, which is slightly cheaper, and vanilla flavouring, which is cheaper again. For some recipes, it's really important to have a good quality vanilla flavour. But for this, you can use any of those and that'll be absolutely fine. And then finally, we've got, for our decoration, got some jam. I've got raspberry here, but you can use any jam, whichever your favourite flavour is. And some desiccated coconut. I'll put those aside for later. Okay, so let's get going. First of all, we're going to crack our eggs into our mixing bowl. So to do that, just give them a tap on the side, pull the shells apart, and in goes the eggs. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now if you get a bit of shell in the bowl, don't panic, it can be tricky to get out, but one top tip I've found is if you use the shell of the egg and put that into the bowl to scoop out the little bit that's gone in there, it will naturally sort of stick to this shell and you can easily get it out. So that's a really good tip. I'm just going to wash my hands after doing the eggs. Okay, so next we're going to put in about a teaspoon of our vanilla, whichever one you're choosing to use. Put that in there like that. We add in our caster sugar, our margarine, and then then we're going to sieve in our flour. This is just to make sure it's really fine, no lumps and bumps, and also it helps to incorporate a bit of air as you're sieving it. If you haven't got a sieve, you can just tip it in, that's fine. But if you can try to do it from a bit of a height and kind of shake it out of the bowl, you might get a similar effect. Okay. Just those last few lumps, just push through. Okay, that to the side. Okay, so that's all our ingredients in the bowl. You can see that was really quick and easy. The next thing we're going to do then is beat it together with our electric whisk. Now just a top tip for this, what you don't want to do is overbeat it, because what happens is the gluten in the flour like really develops the more you beat it, and you end up, instead of a nice light fluffy sponge, you can have quite a tough dense sponge. So we're not going to beat it for long, and I'll show you in a minute roughly how long it takes. But it's just till it all comes together and there's no visible lumps, okay? So just bear with me with the noise now. Okay, so that's done now. As you can see, it really didn't take that much time at all. It's all mixed together, no lumps, and so I'm going to stop there. Okay, so the next thing to do is to put it into our tin. So we're just going to scrape that in with our spatula, or with your large metal spoon if you don't have a spatula. Just scrape that into your tin, like so, and try and get as much of the mixture as you can. Just scrape around the edges. Put it in. Okay, that's done. If I just show you, it's in the tin now, and we're just going to spread it out nice and gently, because you don't want to sort of beat all the air out that you've mixed into it. So just gently spread it out as evenly as possible, right into the corners. Okay. Okay, and when that's done, then that's ready to go into your oven. Now you need to preheat your oven, so put it on before you start. If you've got an electric oven, you want it on 160. If you've got a gas oven, that's about gas mark 5. So just going to pop this into the oven now. Okay, and rinse my hands. Just move some of this equipment out of the way. Now that should take about 30 minutes to cook. Obviously that's going to vary depending on your oven. Some ovens have slightly different temperatures, take slightly different times to bake. So to test if it's done, it should be nicely risen, lightly golden on the top. And if you stick a knife in, like this, just a clean knife out of a cutlery drawer, if the knife comes out clean with no sort of cake gunk stuck to it, then you know that the sponge is cooked, and take it out to the oven. Ideally you then turn it out onto a cooling rack to cool down. If you don't have one of those, you can just leave it to cool in the tin. Okay, now here's something I've always wanted to say, but here's one I made earlier. Okay, so my sponge is cooled down, and I'm just going to show you a couple of ways that you can decorate this sponge. Okay, so we're going to start with the classic jam and coconut, which is what I said I was going to do at the beginning. And it's super easy. So you get your jam, just give it a bit of a mix around so it's nice and soft and spreadable. Okay, and I'm just going to do half the cake because I'm going to show you something else in a minute. And you just spread the jam over the sponge with a knife. Like so. A nice thick layer so you get the flavour coming through. Okay, doesn't have to be too neat, all over so that the coconut sticks on. Okay, now once that's done, I'm going to take our coconut and just sprinkle it on top of the jam. Okay, just make sure it's all covered where you want it to go. Put that right, and so if I show you that, then that's half the cake covered in jam and coconut. Now the other half, I'm going to show you how to make a simple glacé icing. I'm just going to get a spoon to mix it. Okay, now this is one of the easiest icings ever to make. You've probably all made it at some point in life to decorate fairy cakes or something. So what I've got here is a bowl of icing sugar, and all I'm going to add to that is some cold water. Now, even though it's so easy to do, I don't know about you, but quite often I found that I ended up putting too much water in, and then I have to top it up with icing sugar, then it gets too thick again, I add more water, and on it goes until you've just wasted a whole packet of icing sugar. So what I would recommend for this, we're looking for a spreadable consistency so that we can spread it easily on our cake, but not so runny that it keeps dripping up the sides. So I would advise putting your icing sugar in a bowl. Get your water, now instead of doing it from a tap, just put it into a cup or a glass or like a little plastic